Okay, hey guys, today I'm gonna talk about Crohn's disease. Yay! Okay, so when I was 14, I went to go see a gastroenterologist, AGI, and yeah, he was one of the top in the country. So yeah, he just did an endoscopy, and that's the one where they put the camera down your throat and not up your butt. And yeah, he didn't do a colonoscopy, and I don't know why, because yeah, he's a doctor. I didn't question him, and I was 14 and in a lot of pain, and yeah, he didn't find anything in the endoscopy. Basically told me, you know, you have a sensitive stomach, just go live your life. And I did. I went to a dietitian, changed my diet a little bit, and I cut out gluten and dairy and sugar, and I lost a bit of weight, and I did all right for a few years. I mean, I always just I still had pain, but it wasn't, you know, run to the emergency room type of pain. And so I actually had a few good years when I was a teenager. So then when I was 19, 2009, 2010, I lived in community in Pretoria, and it was great. I did all right. I think I only went to the emergency room 3 times in those 2 years. Again, they didn't find what was wrong. They just were like, oh, we don't know what's wrong with you. You know, here's some pain medication and some anti-nausea medication, and I hope you live. Thanks, guys. So yeah, that's basically it. And then yeah, in 2011 is when things got really bad. I had gotten offered to go to Mozambique on a volunteer mission, and it was very far away from home, and it was far away from civilization. Really, it was very rural. It was either 4 or 6 hours to the closest city, which was Pemba, and it was a very bumpy road. It was just not easy to get to where I was, but I enjoyed it, but it was also very stressful. Africa is an intense place. I don't know if you've been, but it's intense. And you know, we take care of babies, and the next day they'd be gone, and there was nothing that we could do, and it was heartbreaking. And I guess the stress kind of got to me, and I was supposed to be there for 3 months, but I ended up only doing 1.5, because I woke up in the middle of the night, and this is where it might be TMI, and I'm sorry, but you're watching a video on Crohn's disease. There's bound to be a TMI in there somewhere. So I was sleeping in the bed with my friend. We were terrified. There were cockroaches, and they were like huge, and that thing hissed at me. It was scary. I think that was my sister's kid, or a weird bird. I don't know if you heard that. Maybe you didn't. Anyway, so where was I? Sorry, I get so sidetracked. Anyway, so I was sharing a bed with my friend, and like her head was over there, and my head was over here. I don't know if you can see my hands. Yeah, so her head was by my feet. And yeah, so luckily I wasn't alone, because goodness knows I don't know what I would have done. So I woke up in the middle of the night in a pool of sweat, in a truckload of pain, and got up and went to the bathroom, and it was it was so bad. My friend woke up, and she saw me, and she just went on her knees, and she looked at me. She's trying to comfort me, and she was praying, and she's just like, oh my gosh, Joya, what can I do? I don't remember much, because I was so out of it, because I was in so much pain. But I know I was on the toilet, and I know I was sweating, and I was nauseous, and I was in a lot of pain, and I thought to myself, this is how I go. In a foreign country, far away from doctors, on a toilet, this is how I'm gonna die. Didn't die that night. Thank you. I don't know what my friend did. I went back to bed. I think she might have given me medication or something. I was very out of it, so I don't know. But I woke up the next day, and I felt okay. I mean, I was uncomfortable and sore, but I was okay. As okay as a Crohn's person can be, I suppose. But again, I didn't know what was wrong with me, because, I mean, I had tried to find answers before, but everyone had just said IBS, so, you know, what can you do? So sorry, I got distracted. There's like little rocks. So I went to the people who were running the volunteer program, and told them basically what had happened, and he took me to Pemba, which, you know, when you drive for, I'm sure it was 6 hours though, 6 hours on a bumpy road with stomach pain, it's not fun, because every bump feels like knives stabbing you. But I had to get to a doctor because it was concerning. You know, I was terrified. So I went to a missionary doctor in Pemba who was also from South Africa. And he helped me. He did what he could. I mean, he basically also just felt my stomach, and then he basically said he thinks that it's gallstones. So if I do get that pain again, I should probably be sent home. And I didn't want to be sent home, because I was there with a purpose and I wanted to make a difference. And, you know, I was all like, I'm going to save the world. I didn't. Oh, I didn't. But, yeah, I was young. Anyway, so the next night, or the night after, I got the pain again, and it was the same story. And, yeah, they basically decided to send me home. So about a month and a half into my 3 months, I was home again. I got home, and I was so depressed and in a bad space, and I went and I immediately, anyway, so I got home and I went for a bunch of tests, and it wasn't my gallbladder, and again, I don't know why they didn't do a colonoscopy. I mean, why? So basically, again, it was IBS, you know, sensitive stomach, and I went with it. I was like, fine, whatever. So, you know, I got a job, I was working, but I always felt sick, and I had these little pain attacks, and I'd have to go to the emergency room, and the people would just give me Bascopan and nausea medication, let me sleep. Is that a plane? There's like a plane like, where am I? There's so many distractions. I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I went on like that for about 2 years. And then I decided I'm going to go see that doctor again that I saw when I was 14, which comes highly recommended. And yeah, I went to go see him, and he, you know, said, okay, lie down on the table. He like pushed on my stomach a few times, and yeah, I begged him with tears in my eyes, please give me a freaking colonoscopy, please. He looked at me and he said, oh no, it's not necessary, nothing can change in 10 years, because I was 24 now. He did an endoscopy when I was 14 and didn't find anything. And I asked him for a colonoscopy. He said, no, it's not worth it. Nothing will change in 10 years. I mean, freaking idiots. Oh, I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. So yeah, he basically gave me antidepressants, told me to stress a little less, and sent me on my way. And I lost it. I was crying, and I was just like, this is my life, and maybe I just can't handle pain. Maybe I just can't handle pain. Maybe it's all in my head. You know, maybe I have some psychological issues, or maybe I'm just making up pain because I want attention or something. I don't know what I was, what the heck. But I kind of gave up at that point, until I saw another doctor, which was just a GP, and he said that it could possibly be endometriosis, and he sent me to a gynecologist, and the gynecologist also, you know, kind of, you know, felt like she onderzoek, what is the English word? She checked me out, and she said, yeah, you probably have endometriosis. A week later, I was in for a lap, and of course they didn't know I had Crohn's disease, so they gave me a whole bunch of medications that I couldn't have. And 3 weeks later, I was back in the hospital, full force, worst pain in my life. And again, nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. And then they sent me for an MRI, and they saw that there was a blood clot on its way to my liver. And I was like, well, it also showed inflammation in my gut, but they completely ignored that, because they were just like, terrified because this blood clot was on its way to my liver, so that overshadowed everything. And they gave like this really weird long name for it, and it was a terrifying name. And they'd like bring students in, they're like, this person has some blood clot that she shouldn't be having because she's so young. But Crohn's disease and blood clots kind of, go together. So my doctor explained that to me later. But then again, we didn't know I had Crohn's disease. Sigh. Anyway, so that was it was very scary. And then I begged them again for a week, please just do a colonoscopy. I'm sure if we do a colonoscopy, I will get the answers. And then they sent me home before they did the colonoscopy. Like, man, why? So I, so I was 24, yeah, when that happened. Then I saw another doctor a while after that, who is like a skincare doctor. But he teaches other doctors. He's a really good doctor, a very expensive doctor. But my friend forced me to go. I didn't want to go to another doctor. I'd given up. But she said, no, I'm paying, you're coming. And I was like, well, okay. And she sent me to this doctor, and he did a whole bunch of tests. And one of the tests that he did was a calprotectin test. And that showed that my inflammation was super high. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was almost 1,000, and it's supposed to be less than 50. But his wonderful conclusion was, I have candida. So he didn't do a colonoscopy when he saw those ridiculous test results. He just was like, oh, let's treat candida with natural things. And yeah, I wish that he had just sent me for a colonoscopy, but he kept me around for a year treating my invisible candida. And yeah, I mean, 2006, so that was 2015. 2016, I went through an aerobics class while I was having a Crohn's flare, and we did stomach exercises, and the next day I almost died. I'm not even kidding. Emergency room, like, I couldn't move. Like, I mean, I had been in the hospital so many times at this point, but I always go to the emergency room and then they just kind of send me on my way. But this time I was fed up, and we found at the hospital that I always go to, Wilgereewil, they've got a new sorry, all my doctors are confused, gastroenterologist, and she was a girl. So I was really excited. Anyway, so I went to my new doctor, and I spent about 15 minutes just crying in her office because I was just broken. I was defeated, and I didn't know what to do anymore. And she was so sympathetic and nice, and it was just refreshing. It was so refreshing. And yeah, she looked at my calprotectin and she was like, whoa, that's really high. And she booked me for a colonoscopy, finally. After my colonoscopy, I woke up crying because I was in so much pain. Then the doctor came to me and she asked me, so Joy, how are you doing? And I looked at her and I'm like, I'm fine. And she shook her head. She shook her head and she said, no, you're not. And it was actually so refreshing to hear that somebody believed me and that there was actually something wrong with me, because I was just convinced that it was in my head and I was going nuts. So she said that I had really bad colitis on my terminal ileum and the right side of my colon. And at that point it was colitis because the biopsies hadn't come back yet. But 2 weeks later I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and it was wonderful to have an answer. And at that point I didn't know what was waiting for me, because treatment of Crohn's disease is a whole nother situation. In my mind, I think I thought, now that I have the answer, she can give me a pill and I'll be better tomorrow. But that wasn't the case. So in the next video, I'm going to speak about what happened after I was diagnosed. So thank you for watching this video, and I really hope that it helped you, because I watched a lot of these videos when I was first diagnosed and it helped me to feel less alone. So I hope this video helped you, and if you are dealing with Crohn's disease, I'm so sorry, and I really hope you find remission soon. So yeah, have a good day.